a Netflix original film.
The Wi-Fi isn't working.
In the event of a global communications breakdown, do the following. Stay inside.
What just happened here is happening everywhere.
Avoid strangers.
We've all been deserted.
I don't trust them.
And most importantly, do not panic. Julia Roberts.
What happens next?
Mahershala Ali.
I knew something was coming.
Leave the World Behind. Rated R. In select theaters now and on Netflix December 8th.
So today is our 1-year anniversary. If you've been with us from the very beginning, cheers to us. And if you've just recently joined the fold, we're about to show you how far we've come because today on CityCast Portland, we're replaying our very first episode. I remember how hard our team worked on this first episode. And even now, after 230 more have aired, it remains one of my very favorites. So we hope you enjoy it. And thank you from everyone here at CityCast Portland for supporting us through our first year. Here's to many more. It's Wednesday, December 6th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. A few years ago, I started seeing this bumper sticker around town. Fred and Tootie, not Fred and Carrie. And it was partially a Portlandia reference, Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein. But the sentiment was that they weren't the most culturally accurate representation of the city. That instead, we should be looking to Fred and Tootie Cole, the husband and wife duo behind the legendary Portland rock band, Dead Moon. Fred and Tootie were together for 50 years until Fred's passing in 2017. And these two were playing Portland punk shows well into their 60s. They raised 3 kids while running various record shops and labels and touring nonstop. What you're hearing now is one of the most well-known songs, Dead Moon Night. Today, Tootie Cole is 73 years old, and she was born and raised right here in Southeast Portland. I think she's the perfect person to talk to about where Portland's been and where it's going. Tootie, what was Portland like when you and Fred were first performing this song out in clubs around town?
Oh, it was in one of those cycles where the music scene was at a peak. There was a ton of clubs. People were showing up for live music in droves. And that particular song always went over extremely well. When we finally got to Europe, that and It's Okay were probably the two that everybody gravitated to just because there was memorable lyrics. And that became such a big thing everywhere with people singing along to our songs. That was just, wow.
It's your anthem. I remember a handful of years back, it was like on October 5th, I think it was 2017, more than like 1,000 of your fans came to Portland City Hall.
Yeah.
There are thrones that were made for you. And it had like your logo on top to commemorate you and Fred. And you guys didn't get a day. You got a night. You got a Dead Moon Night.
Well, of course. I mean, that was the way it should be. And it was a perfect night. It was like beautiful October evening, a warm, not raining. The moon that night was incredible. Clear sky. It happened just when Fred was still able to still get around, and he passed away on November 9th. So it completely blew him away. And it was so amazing that it happened while he was still around to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. When I think about you guys, I think about the history of Portland. I think about music. I think about the art scene. I think about the people that made this town, the reason why people, moved here to begin with. Could you explain Portland to someone who just moved here 10 years ago and they're just like, what's going on? I thought I signed up for something different. Like, could you explain what Portland was?
Well, for me, Portland has changed in its landscape over the years. I mean, when I started out, first coming downtown, it was always a huge hub, a place to get together and to meet people that are like-minded, especially when you're that young and you're kind of looking for your family you're not related to. Mm-hmm. And Portland has always had a really killer music scene and really had enough of a live audience who wants that, shows up for it, is willing to pay for it and follow the bands that they love. it takes a great live audience to keep a music scene going and to even make it happen to begin with. And Portland just happens to be open to a lot of different forms of entertainment and art forms. And it's always had a very encouraging atmosphere for that.
Yeah. A lot of people have this kind of negative attitude about where Portland is right now. It's just like, oh, Portland is a hellscape. Are you seeing the city that you grew up in, the city that you helped make, the city that, you helped give a name to so many people? Do you think it's lost? Are you saying like, yeah, this city's over?
It's just in a really sad state of affairs. I mean, it was before in the 90s when heroin became such a huge problem with everyone. Right now, it's the homeless situation, which is a combination of drugs and mental illness and economics. Luckily, most things change. They and when things get really, really bad, it's like anything else. It's like your own personal life. I mean, you hit bottom, and hey, it's like, okay, you better figure out how to go up, because that's it. So, and it seems to be the same with anything and everything else. So, I have faith and hope that she'll come back. Because, hey, the Portland I remember when I was a kid, it was a city that had a completely small town feel to it. And in the eyes of Seattle and, San Francisco and every other big city on the West Coast, we were, we were the underdog, we were super small potatoes. And a lot of the fact that Portland kind of grew a bit too fast, I think, is just because we got the rep of being one of the most livable cities in the world. I mean, in the country, everybody had great things to say about Portland. And it was almost comical when it became a big joke of, between governors and mayors of, visit Portland, just don't move here, don't stay. Well, they did.
And we didn't have the infrastructure to house them.
No.
And then came the pandemic.
Here come the Californians. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Well, you survived the 90s, like in Portland. As a working musician, what would your advice be to those right now that are, seeing hard times and maybe just drank the Kool-Aid that they were told about Portland, didn't have the full information, that we've always been punching above our weight, but we are a small city. Like those are the roots.
Exactly. No, it pretty much is. Yeah. There's a lot of different places that you may think you can go to and have an easier time of it. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? You pretty much are facing an uphill battle, I think, at this particular time right now anyway. Pretty much any place that you might be. If you're a musician, I'd say tough it out because, man, there's still a lot more going on here than there is in a lot of other places. And it's just like, hey, we'll all make it through. And, in a weird way, we're still all pulling together. And I pretty much believe that that's kind of, the feel of the community itself. And that will always be there through good times and bad.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive in a little deeper into the legacy of Dead Moon. Do you remember playing PDX Pop Now?
Yeah.
So I was in a band in 2009, and we were like the best new band of that year, according to Willamette Week. And we had never played PDX Pop Now, but we didn't know it was a dry show because it's an all ages thing, So we go on stage, there's no beer there. And I'm just like, what's going on?
This isn't a gig.
This isn't what's happening. So first thing I say, I don't even introduce our band. I was just like, does anyone have any beer? Is there any beer anywhere? Where's the beer? So like a Natty Light tall boy gets crowd surfed to me, So I took a sip. I'm about to take another. And then like an organizer grabs it from my hand and it's just like, Claudia, this is all ages show. We're going to get in so much trouble. There's all these kids here. We don't have a license for this, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. I'm so sorry. So I was like, this is how much we love you guys. Not only are we playing for free, we are sober right now. So let's just go. And so we played this show. You guys, and you probably don't remember this, Tootie. When you guys came on, you brought your bottle of Jack or something that you were all sharing. You just put it in front of your foot, and you guys were just taking swip. No one touched it. No one said, Tootie, did you know that we don't have the rights? And that's when I was like, oh, okay. that's who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Age and longevity have their perks every now and again.
Because I remember even asking like the organizers, like, why aren't you taking away their booze? And I was like, what? And they're just like, that's Dead Moon. Get the fuck out of here.
Sorry about that.
No, I loved it. It made me so happy. Because I feel like Dead Moon means so much to so many different people, not just in Portland, but in Portland, you guys are, you're an institution.
At this point, yeah.
The fact that you have your own freaking night, you have there are thrones that were made for you. How do you explain this to someone? How would you put it in your own words?
It still completely blows me away. I mean, I was born in Portland. I grew up here. To me, this is my hometown. This is the place that, hey, if I got known anywhere, this was the one that was important to me. Part of it is the lifespan of the band. Part of it is the fact that Fred and I were involved in the music scene from way back to just a short time ago. And the fact that Dead Moon was lucky enough to become one of the successful Portland bands. A lot of it's our lifestyle, our love story, our music stores, the whole ball of wax. We've just become synonymous with this town. Fred and I go back to the first days of the Crystal Ballroom.
Oh my gosh.
67, 68. So, at that point I was 17, 18. And so, it was incredible to have been a part of that scene and then to have been involved in it again during the late 70s in the punk rock scene. And then in the late 80s when we first started Dead Moon, and then the 90s especially stuff was just happening everywhere for us at that particular point.
Yeah, so you basically have been here from the birth of what was like the rock and roll scene in Portland. Yeah,
pretty much. Because, when Fred's band first hit town, when the Weeds first hit town in October 66, it was still kind of a folk music scene at that particular point.
Right.
There's a lot of coffee houses, jug bands and stuff like that. But there wasn't anybody that was just real rock and roll kind of stuff until those guys hit town.
I would have loved to see the Weeds play. But one of the many things that brought me to town was the ethics of like the Portland lifer, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, no, it does to me.
Because you're a Portland lifer, yeah. Walter Cole, Darcel, he's a Portland lifer. Like, there's just people that they do what they do because they need to do it. And you work really hard at it. And it's not an obsession. It's how you live your life. And you're not telling anyone else how they're living their life, but this is how you're going to live your life.
Yeah.
And Portland is the city that, to me, makes sense for that. You can create these small pockets of neighborhoods, these small pockets of communities where you all support each other. And someone's like, I see what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And you do the same.
Yeah, and it's the same in all the different art forms too, not just music, but whether it's dance or photography or poetry or, whatever it happens to be. Portland is one of those rare places that has a very cooperative feel among artists of all types than so many cities that I've been in where it's just like shove somebody down to get yours,
Right.
So it's kind of unique that way. It's very great because that's the way I want to be treated and to treat other people. And that's the kind of environment that I thrive in myself.
Do you feel like that's still a thing today? Do you still feel that in your own community?
I hope so. I really, really do. I'm not as involved in the music scene as I used to. I'm, on the edges. I'm not sure exactly what's going on completely with all the younger bands, but all the ones that have met have really been incredible. And to me, they have that same feeling and that same look, or that same attitude rather, about how they approach music and other people and work very cooperatively too. So I still see that vibe. It still feels like it's there.
Oh, Tootie, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for giving us some of your time. It's like the heart of Portland are people like you, the people who have kept it going. just like every decade, Tootie, you and Fred were doing something, helping people out, putting out records, inspiring, and like answering questions from ding-dongs like me.
Man, it was a sweet, fun ride. Pleasure to be a part of it. Pleasure to help out whoever I could, mentor whoever I could, and good to know you're still all out there slugging away, making it happen.
Well, thank you so much, Tootie.
You bet.
And now for your microdose of news. With this recent deluge of rainy weather, there are flood watches in effect through today. And if you're in a flood-prone area, Portland has set some sandbag filling locations across the city. You can grab sandbags at Lens Park, Gabriel Park, or Southeast 111th Avenue and Herald Street. The bags are free, but it is BYOS. Bring your own shovel. Also, Governor Kotek and legislative leaders announced they're pumping an extra $19 million into ODOT to keep roads clear this winter. The money will be used to buy 10 new snowplow trucks, de-icer, salt, and cover overtime costs for workers, among other things, even though ODOT is still facing a massive budget shortfall. But at least now we won't have to borrow any snowplows from Seattle this year, and you know what? We'll take our wins as they come. For even more local news and events, check out our daily newsletter, Hey Portland. We'll throw a link in the show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks again for an amazing first year. It's been a pleasure getting to know some of you. And remember, you're always welcome to reach out at portland@citycast.fm with questions, comments, or show ideas. We're also currently accepting cute pictures of your pets. We'll be back tomorrow with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Saloons.